Okay, welcome to the point of view mini stories for obsessive behavior. Let's get started. Same story now with 3 different versions. The first version, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, there was a woman named Kathy. Kathy always obsessed about English. She constantly worried about taking the TOEFL test. When she worried, she always rubbed her hands together. They were always chafed. Her friend Gabriel was the opposite. He always opted to remain relaxed. He always reprimanded Kathy and said, "Kathy, stop obsessing about English, damn it!" Kathy never stood up to Gabriel. She just said, "I'm sorry, don't be mad." Then she said, "But let's go to the library now and study English, please." Gabriel always nixed this idea. He'd say, "Hell no, we're not studying English." Kathy felt unsettled, but she said, hesitantly, okay. However, in her mind, she would silently start to review English grammar. Then she always felt much better. All right, let's do the next version. The next version will start with since last year. Okay? Okay, there's a woman named Kathy. Since last year, she has obsessed about English. She has constantly worried about taking the TOEFL test. When she's worried, she has always rubbed her hands together. They have been chafed every day since last year. Her friend Gabriel has been the opposite. He has always opted to remain relaxed. He has reprimanded Kathy every time she worries and has said, "Stop obsessing about English, damn it!" Kathy has never stood up to Gabriel. She has always said, "I'm sorry, don't be mad at me." Then she's always said, "But let's go to the library now and study English, please." Gabriel has always nixed this idea. He's always said, "Hell no, we're not studying English." And Kathy has always felt unsettled. And she's always said, hesitantly, okay. However, in her head, she has started to review English grammar every time. Then she has always felt much better. Okay, now did you notice I used the word always a lot in that version? Always, always, always. Why? Why did I always say always? Well, it's because I'm talking about something that started in the past and has continued until now. So I want to say always because I want to make clear that I'm not talking about one specific time, right? I have a conversation here. Kathy, stop obsessing about English, damn it, right? He says this, she says that. Well, if this only happened one time in the past, we would use the simple past. Right? I would say, Gabriel said, "Stop obsessing about English." Kathy said, "I'm sorry." But this is a conversation that has happened many times. They always have the same conversation since last year. So 10 months ago, they would have this conversation. And then 5 months ago, they would use the same conversation again. Right? So always, almost every day, starting 1 year ago until now, they're always having this same conversation. So that's why I say has said, has always said. Always makes it more clear that it's not something that happened one time, that it's happening repeatedly, has happened repeatedly, starting last year until now. If it was only one time, it would be the past tense. But since it has happened many times, starting last year until now, then we can say has said, has done, etc. Okay. Last version begins with next year. There's a girl named Kathy. Next year, she will always obsess about English because next year she has to take the TOEFL test. Now, when she'll worry, she'll always rub her hands together. They're always going to be chafed. Her friend Gabriel will be the opposite. He'll always opt to remain relaxed. He'll always reprimand Kathy and say, "Kathy, stop obsessing about English, damn it." Kathy will never stand up to Gabriel. She'll just say, "I'm sorry, don't be mad." Then she'll say, "But let's go to the library now and study English, please." Gabriel will always nix this idea. He'll always say, "Hell no, we're not studying English." Kathy'll feel unsettled, but she'll say, hesitantly, "Oh, okay." However, in her mind, she'll silently begin to review English grammar. Then she'll feel much better. Okay, those are our 3 versions. Please pause now. Try to tell each version. So 20 years ago, since last year, and next year, 3 versions. If you can't do it, it's okay. Listen to one version again. Listen many times, then pause, try to tell that version. And then do it again with the second version, and then again with the third one. Just listen, listen, listen. Listening is the most important thing. Do not become worried and stressed about perfect grammar. Don't obsess about grammar. Don't be like Kathy, right? Don't obsess about correctness. Don't obsess about being perfect. That is not the purpose of this lesson. Listening is the #1 thing you should do. If you feel relaxed, then okay, pause and try to tell each version yourself. If you feel stressed, don't do that. Just listen. Okay, that's all. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Welcome to the vocabulary lesson for obsessive behavior. Let's get started. In the headline, we see the title, "Parents Deny Probable Cause of Son's Obsessive Behavior." To deny is to say something is wrong or you don't believe it. So if you deny the cause, it means you won't listen to the cause, or you say the cause is wrong. That's not the cause, that's not the cause. You're denying it. You're saying, no, it's not true. No, it's not true. That's to deny, to deny. Okay, and then probable means probable cause. You probably know probably, right? That's an adverb, probably. But probable is the adjective. So probable cause means the likely cause. It means it's not 100%, but maybe, 90% we're sure, 90% that this is the cause. Okay, and then what are we talking about? The cause of what? We're talking about the cause of their son's obsessive behavior. So behavior is how you act. Obsessive. Obsessive is to do something too much. You focus on only one thing. Now, it can be a verb, to obsess. To obsess, yeah, it means you focus on one thing and you think about it all the time. For example, if I obsess about studying English, it means every day I think about English, English, English. I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about English. Must study English, must study English. At lunchtime, I'm thinking about English. Must study English, must study English. You only think about this. That's the verb to obsess. If you use it as an adjective, we say obsessive. So obsessive behavior means doing something all the time. For example, somebody washes their hands a lot. Like every 5 minutes, they wash their hands. And then they touch something on a desk. They wash their hands again. Then they touch a person. They wash their hands again. They're washing their hands all the time. This is obsessive behavior. It's doing one thing too much or all the time. Okay, and then in the first paragraph of the letter, we say that a woman says that her nephew has problems with obsessive hand washing. That's what I just described. Obsessive hand washing means you wash your hands all the time, much too much. You're always doing it again and again and again and again. Obsessive hand washing. Nephew, what's a nephew? A nephew is your sister's son or your brother's son. That's a nephew. Okay, so this nephew, he has obsessive hand washing. He washes his hands much too much. And then in the, she says, I think he needs professional help. He needs somebody to help him. I suspect means I think in this case. She strongly suspects that he suffers from obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. To suspect means to think. It means you're not sure, but you think probably this is happening. And obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, it's a kind of a mental illness, mental sickness, where you constantly, always do something again and again and again. Hand washing is a common example. But you're always thinking about one thing and doing one thing. Maybe this kid thinks about cleanliness, always wants to be clean, and he always washes his hands. So if you do that too much, if it's really, really, really too much all the time, if it's kind of crazy, then we might say the person has obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD. All right, and then she said her brother and his wife refuse to believe their child has a problem. So again, refuse is a little bit like deny. Refuse means to say no to something. Usually, when you refuse, it's because of a request. You say, I won't do something, right? Somebody wants you to do something, but you won't do it. You say, no, I won't do it. That's refuse. You refuse to do it. In this case, they refuse to believe. So we usually refuse to do something, refuse to think something, refuse to believe something. All right, so you deny a situation. You deny information, but you refuse an action. That's how they're different. All right, and then in the next sentence, she says, my nephew's hands are chafed and raw. Chafed means very rough. It means if you rub your hands together, right? You're rubbing your hands together very fast. Together, rubbing together. If you do that a very, very long time, your hands will start to hurt, right? Your hands become red. Maybe they get a crack. Maybe they start to bleed, right? It becomes painful if you do it too long. Well, that's called chafed. Chafed. It means your skin is hurt from rubbing, from moving against something else. So it's not like scratched. It's similar to scratched, but scratched is usually like one line, right? Scratched with a knife, scratched with scissors. It's one thin line. Chafed usually is a larger area, like a bigger area, like all of your hands can be chafed, or part of your legs can be chafed. It's rubbing against your pants, maybe, and rubbing, the skin becomes red, the skin hurts a little bit. We call that chafed. And sometimes we'll say the skin is raw. The skin is raw in this situation. And that, again, that also means the skin is very red and painful. So chafed and raw are quite similar. Okay, and then she says that the boy's parents reprimand him for his behavior when he really needs help. To reprimand is a little bit like criticizing, but it's a little different. When someone does something wrong, you reprimand them. So to reprimand means to tell somebody they did something wrong. So you say, stop washing your hands so much. That's bad. Okay, I reprimanded him. Or maybe you steal money, and then I tell you, that's bad. You stole the money. You should not do that. Okay, I'm reprimanding you. Reprimanding is different than punish. Punishing is you actually do something to the person. But reprimand, or to reprimand, just means you say something. Okay, it's only talking. So that's how reprimand and punishment are different. All right, and then finally, last paragraph, she says, his mother's the biggest problem. She nixes all issues that suggest a problem. And my brother will not stand up to her. Okay, to nix, N-I-X, to nix something. To nix means to, it's kind of like to destroy it, or eliminate it, or get rid of it. And usually it means somebody makes a suggestion, and then you shoot the suggestion, right? We sometimes say shoot it down. You immediately you say, no, this is not true. No, we will not do it. Okay, you are nixing the idea. You are nixing the suggestion. You're immediately saying no and denying it and refusing to do it. That's to nix. So when it says she nixes all issues that suggest a problem, it means she immediately and quickly says no anytime somebody says their son has a problem. So they say, look, I think your son might have a problem. Immediately she says, no, he does not have a problem. Absolutely not. There is no problem. Okay, that's to nix, to immediately deny something, to immediately say no to any suggestion. Okay, and finally, she says her brother will not stand up to his wife. To stand up to is a common phrase in English. To stand up to means to go against somebody, maybe argue with them, maybe fight them, but it means you will not be bullied. You won't let somebody else push you around or make you do something. If you stand up to someone, it means somebody else is strong, but you will go against them. You will disagree. You will tell them they're wrong. That's to stand up to somebody. And we sometimes use it in the negative. If you say, he won't stand up to his wife, it means he always says yes to his wife. If his wife says, wash the dishes now, he will say, yes, yes, okay. And if she says, take out the garbage, he says, yes, yes, okay. And if she says, you're stupid, you're ugly, he will say, oh, I'm sorry, right? He won't stand up to her. He won't go against her. He won't argue with her. He won't fight with her. If he does fight with her, if she says, you're ugly and stupid, and then he says, don't call me ugly and stupid. Don't ever say that again, damn it. Okay, now he is standing up to her, right? And you can picture it in your head. To stand up to someone means you stand tall against them. If they're yelling at you, if you sit down and you put your head down, right, it means you're very weak. But if you stand tall, face to face, then you're also strong. So to stand up to someone, it means be strong against somebody else. All right, that is all the vocabulary for this lesson. Move on to the mini story. Thanks.